campus. But when it comes to citations and other violations, that becomes an opportunity to learn. You know, you talk to people, you teach them the rules, and you do it. And I'm happy to say we do that with the faculty and staff members also. Right now we're going through a project, I don't know if any of you, if I use the term SIMS or NIMS, if it means anything to you, but SIMS stands for Standard Emergency Management System, and NIMS stands for National Incident Management System. After September 11th, President Bush signed Presidential Order Number 5 that basically said all government entities have to use these procedures in how to organize things to handle emergencies. In California, we've been doing it since 1987, and our terminology is a little different, so for us it was no big deal. But it became a big deal because colleges take the money, and we're trying to teach colleges how to put this situation together. Everybody knows that on a college campus, the president's in charge. But in academia, everything goes by your title. And at one of my campuses, we're creating this table of organization, who's in charge of the incident, who's the logistics, who's the manager, and other things. But they were putting people into jobs by their titles, not their skills. And at Mesa College, I have a dean who's a retired Navy captain, who used to command destroyers. And in their organization, because he was a dean, he didn't outrank a vice president, he basically had a job as like a clerk fetching coffee. Yet he should have been the operations officer, the logistics officer, because he had that practice doing it. So one of the things we do is educate them on that. And the person who does most of that is Sergeant Arakin. I want to have him talk a little bit about not so much the challenges of what ICS is and how the planning is, but a little bit about, just so you know, that if you happen to be on a college campus or you happen to see an incident occur with the fire department, an understanding of where we're coming from and how we try to accomplish what we're doing. Because a lot of times to a lot of people it doesn't make any sense that you want to come and volunteer and we send you to a little area to go. Well, the reason we send you to one place to go is, number one, we don't want people in the command area interfering with chatter with what's going on. But number two, everybody who shows up, we got to log you in. So at the end of the day, after you've done your volunteering, we know you go home. So that these procedures are in place, and we appreciate when people want to help, but we also want to protect you. And with that, I'll just have Jordan talk a little bit about the project he has with our campuses.
Excellent.
Can everyone hear me in the back? Yeah. Well, first of all, I used to live here in North Park, so I want to thank you for what you've done for this community. North Park, when I moved to San Diego in 1996, looked completely different than it does today. And I think part of that is because of the community outreach, and I do appreciate that. So thank you for having me today. A little bit of background, I've worked both for the Community College District and San Diego State University as a police officer. When it comes to incident command, I was kind of thrown into the fire, so to speak. As a young acting sergeant, I was in charge of the NCAA basketball tournament at San Diego State, and one of the bomb dogs hit on what the dog believed to be an explosive device. And all of a sudden, as a brand new acting sergeant, I was told, you need to evacuate 13,000 people from this arena. And oh, by the way, our sponsors need to run their commercials so we can pay the bill, so get it done quickly. As the chief said, I did plan my career around campus law enforcement. I come from a family of educators, both my parents who passed away, but they were both retired teachers at Torrance High School. And early on in my career, I realized that there is a role for police officers on the campus, and that role is something I take very seriously. So going back to incident command, essentially the challenge that we have when we're dealing with academia is explaining to them that someday they may be called to help us facilitate the evacuation of our students, staff, faculty, and visitors. And we're talking about with the Community College District, we have 4 main campuses, and then we have just offsites all over the county of San Diego. Preparing them for these disasters has been a challenge because, as the chief spoke to all of you about, there is that debate. And the natural tendency is to turn to the uniform in the room and say, you got it? Good, I'll see you later. And they take off. But nowadays, for lack of better cliche, we have to think outside the box. And so incident command as a whole helps kind of dial back the situation and really break it down into fragmented pieces. They have all kinds of fancy acronyms and words for it, but just to keep it simple, you identify your resources in the room, and through that identification process, you develop a team, a command team, if you will. And when disaster strikes, and it can be something as small as a fire, or as large as something similar to the TSA crash here, I believe it was in the late 70s.
September 25th, 1978.
And most of you probably remember that. So you plan around these events, and it helps kind of compartmentalize everything. Incident command has really come to the forefront over the past few years with Hurricane Katrina. We've had incidents on our campuses, active shooters. We've had all kinds of incidents come to the campus. And I believe, and I say this every time I speak, that nowadays it's even more so important to understand incident command because we live in a different society now. And one thing we're seeing on our campuses is a huge influx of men and women coming back from serving in the military. But we're also seeing an even larger increase in our student population that have mental illness, mental health issues, and stress related to the loss of a job, change in family. Well, with that stress, unfortunately, occasionally we get that student that can bring with them a set of problems that may create a critical incident, either man-made or a natural disaster, which obviously the students have no role in. But our campuses are wide open to the public, and at any time, we can have an incident occur on any one of our campuses, whether it be man-made or otherwise. So incident command has really kind of come to the forefront, and my job and the task given to me by the chief on our police department is to go out, identify these resources on our campuses, develop a command team, and really teach them how to manage a critical incident and how to manage something where the incident command system comes into play. It's been both an exciting and frustrating challenge. I joke with my friends, I tell them I should just take my gun off my belt and put a fire extinguisher there, because that's all I do is I put out fires all day long. But dealing with people who have no background in, or very little background in emergency preparedness, law enforcement, or even fire personnel, and showing them that, yeah, you can do it. You can be an incident commander, which if I told you you're the incident commander, all of a sudden it's either wow or uh-oh. But once you go through our training, and once you go through our debriefs and our tabletop exercises, and then the actual role-play scenarios that we have on our campuses, and we're talking about full-scale exercises, and you develop that confidence that you can do it, you find yourself wanting to be involved and wanting to stay behind and assist our over 80,000 people that come in and out of our campuses every day. So you find yourself wanting to be a part of the incident command system and not wanting to be one of the people that maybe doesn't know what to do and may panic in the case of an emergency. On a smaller scale with incident command, at the very least, what we hope you get out of it is that when you go home, you take a look inside your refrigerator, you take a look inside of your pantry, and you figure out whether or not you're prepared. Here I am, the lead incident command instructor for the college district, and we have a blackout. And guess what I don't have on me? I don't have cash, and I don't have any food. So the blackout was an eye-opener for me because I realized I'm going out into the community and talking about being prepared, and I'm probably the least prepared person in the block. So there I am, outside on my barbecue trying to thaw a frozen steak. Okay, so these are the things that we, as police officers and as district police officers, hope to teach you and hope to teach the people that come to our class. I highly encourage you to look into being involved in CERT, which is it's basically your community emergency response team. I highly encourage you to learn those skills and be part of the community even more so than you are today. Because in the event that disaster happens, we all want to be prepared. We don't want to feel like we don't know what to do. And the feeling I got the night of the blackout was an eye-opener. So I thank you for your time. If there are any questions,